Welcome back, and welcome to episode 3
Thank you.
of Conversations with Helen King. Is it Helen Young King or Helen King?
My maiden name is Young,
Okay.
so that's why I write that down. And there are many Helen Kings, so that's why I put that in there to distinguish which one.
I for some reason I kept calling you Helen Young for a while, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I saw something you had written. I go, well, that's where I got it from.
Oh yeah,
So many things that in life we know, but we don't know why we know them.
but by the same token, I've heard that all my life, and so that's why I can stay young
Exactly.
in all areas, physically, emotionally, and mentally.
I hadn't planned on talking about this, but because the theme of this episode is choice. But before we get to that, you have made some choices about your age and about how you present yourself and how you live your life. Since our first episode at the end of last year, you've had a birthday.
Yes. So I'm 90.
You're 90.
Yes.
How old do you feel?
62.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes, I found myself getting caught up in society's, culture's attitudes regarding growing old, and I decided that isn't necessary. And so I stopped paying attention and listened more to myself. And you can continually renew who you are, and you can continue to reinvent who you are and what you want to do. And that's what I've done. I've played many roles in my life, and some of them more fun than others. But once you commit to something, you do the follow through, and you act responsibly. And however, whenever it's no longer necessary, such as in child rearing and so forth, you let that role go. I declared my independence from my children on July 4th, 1976. I said, I'll always be your mother, but I'm finished playing the intense mother role, and we are now friends. So our relationships are friend to friend. Friends do this and don't do that. However, I want you as a really good friend.
What a wonderful way to look at parenthood
Yes.
and being a child as well.
Well, you acknowledge them as full adults, and children are not a possession. The role of a parent is to provide the opportunities for a child to learn what's necessary to function as a fully active adult. And that provide is the key word. They either learn it or they don't. And so you do your best, and then it's time to back off. No helicopter parenting for me.
You stopped helicopter parenting before it was even a term that we used.
Right.
In our last episode interview, you said, or rather we talked about observing versus participating. And you had said in something you wrote to me, life is full of choices, but I don't get involved in other people's stuff. Know thyself and know thyself. Know thyself, K-N-O-W, and know, N-O, thyself. And you also pointed out that this is, may my physical, emotional, and mental attitudes be as pure as my soul. So in talking about that and talking about your choices, whether it be of age, your choices that you've made as a parent, as a mother, what about right and wrong choices? People talk all the time about, oh, I made a wrong choice with that. Oh, that was a bad thing to do. Or,
Well, we make a choice, as we mentioned, according to the facts we have and where we are in awareness in that particular activity. There's always more to learn. And you can vacillate and go on forever. I know some people, 20 years later, they're still talking about something and they've made no choice. And so it's like I set a deadline for myself to collect information, depending on how complicated something is, and then I'll say, I'm going to make a decision on this Friday at 4 o'clock with whatever information I have, and go from there and, start moving. However, you only have to stick with a decision the length of time it takes you to make another one. When you notice that, hey, you're veering off course, get back on. So, and then when you get another insightful understanding, you can always make it better. Always.
Choose again.
Yes, well, or maybe it was 75% satisfactory. Oh, I can handle this. I can go with this. Well, if you did this, it would be so much better. Do it this way. And it can come from within you, or it can come from without.
When do you decide that something is good enough? You've written a lot, and you're writing another book right now, from what I understand. So when do you get to that point where you're just done? Writers have a problem with being done with a project. When do you know that this is good enough? This is done. This is complete.
Well, if I have something that insights, understandings that I have on a certain topic, I will collect all the data that I can and then write it.
Like what you did when you went on your cruise last year.
Oh, yeah.
How many books you told us you read. And
Yeah, I did. And DVDs and so forth. Be prepared. So there's going to be surprises, but you can eliminate a lot of things if you prepare yourself with knowledge. So then I also must understand, who am I writing this for? And oftentimes that I will use 10-cent words or $25 words. I will get very introspective, or I'll just hit the surface. It depends on who I'm talking to and who I'm writing for. And recently I was writing something and being very honest, and I thought very compassionate, and I got some feedback because I was writing my experience, and people were interpreting it from their experience. And I tell the truth the best I know it, and I'm not going to back away from hard issues or hard words, because I think we've done that. We've glossed things over or ignored things that were very impactful in our lives. And so I think it's time to stop gilding it, so to speak, making it look pretty, making it look nice, when it wasn't. The good old days were not so good
Right.
in many ways. And so once you acknowledge it, you can heal it and move on. And why carry all that baggage? I mean, let it go. If I can say, okay, this was what was happening. I used to think that adults, parents, teachers, leaders, ministers, had the best interest of children in mind. And it didn't take long to notice that they didn't. It's like, do it my way. It was manipulation and control. And we still see a lot of that in our society. I have never met anyone who hasn't used manipulation and control. Some people more so than others, and some people really for the benefit of others, because they have more information or more skill. And I find people therefore come and ask me what I would do in a certain situation, and I tell them. I can say, well, this is what worked for me, but perhaps you would want to do it this way in your life. So we can never change another. They can only change themselves. However, if they have more information, more skills and tools, they can do things better. And that's what we want. I want a person to have the best life possible. Why wouldn't I? And so I want to be a supporter and encourager. However, I find that sometimes people want me to do it for them. I will do something for you once, maybe twice. But after that, I'll walk beside you while you do it.
Got it.
And so, well, see, that's where I've come with having patience with people. How sincere are you about making the changes that you know would be beneficial?
Or has the problem become the way of life?
Absolutely. You know, I hear you saying this is what you want, but I don't see you making any corrective action to create it.
Some people would call that judgment, though.
Well, if you ask me for my opinion, that's my opinion. And it only becomes judgment when I use it to tell you that you're not okay.
Excellent.
So I look at people and I'll see them doing something over and over again, and I'll say to myself, I know what you're learning.
People in general, and I'll include myself in this, I think we want, when we ask for input, we're looking for approval. And if I don't get your approval, then I feel that it's judgment.
Okay, well, must have been.
I wasn't speaking specifically about you and me, but I
yeah.
think people, they see your opinion when one person's opinion doesn't agree with the other person's opinion or course of action.
Yeah.
They see that not as, oh, well, you do it that way, I do it this way. They see it as judgment because they want approval in some way.
Well, there are many ways to New York City. And their way might work better for them. It might be not as direct or not as quick, but I'd like to go through Tokyo to New York City rather than take that 4.5-hour drive. So it's whenever the shuttle went to the moon, it didn't go zoom. It went left, right, up, down, getting there, but continually changing course. Mm-hmm. And
much like life.
Right, and adjusting. There's a word called eufinity, meaning that you get to where you want to go, but how you do it, and with whom you do it, continues to be a choice.
Thank you so much for that. Much of your life is guided, all of your life, I think, is guided by spirit that you've spoken about. And in our next episode, that's what we're going to talk about, the way you communicate with spirit.
Well, I want to be the best me possible. So,
I think you are.
Thank you.